Ever felt paralyzed by the fear of rejection, holding back in relationships or at work? You're not alone. In this episode, we're peeling back the layers of this universal fear, exploring its deep roots, how it shapes our behavior, and, most importantly, how to overcome it. This episode is a collaboration of experts blending psychological insights and practical strategies. The voice you're hearing represents our team's unified perspective, bringing you thoughtful, evidence-based guidance. Let's dive in and learn how to face rejection with confidence.
Welcome, everyone, to today's episode of Unveiling the Fear of Rejection. I'm your host, and with me is my co-host. Today, we're going to explore the deep roots and diverse manifestations of the fear of rejection, how it impacts our lives, and what we can do to manage and overcome it. So let's dive right in. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think about the fear of rejection, Sarah?
Well, I think the first thing that comes to mind is how pervasive it can be. It seems to affect so many aspects of our lives, from personal relationships to professional endeavors. It's almost like this invisible force that can hold us back. But why is it so common? What makes it such a universal fear?
That's a great point, Sarah. The fear of rejection is deeply rooted in our evolutionary past. Humans are social creatures, and historically, being part of a group was essential for survival. Being rejected from the group could mean losing access to resources and protection. This evolutionary legacy has left us with a heightened sensitivity to rejection, which can manifest in various ways today. For example, in a modern context, it might make someone avoid social situations or feel anxious about sharing their ideas at work. What are your thoughts on how this evolutionary background plays out in our daily lives?
I think it's fascinating how our ancient survival instincts still have such a strong impact. I remember when I was younger, I was always afraid to raise my hand in class, thinking that if I got the answer wrong, my classmates would laugh at me. It's like that fear of being ostracized or ridiculed still lingers, even in seemingly safe environments. But what about more recent experiences? How do childhood experiences shape our fear of rejection?
Exactly, Sarah. Childhood experiences play a crucial role. According to attachment theory, our early relationships with caregivers shape our emotional responses and attachment styles. For instance, if a child experiences neglect, criticism, or abandonment, they might develop an anxious or avoidant attachment style, making them more prone to fear rejection in adulthood. This can lead to a cycle where they constantly seek validation or avoid social interactions altogether. Can you think of any specific examples or stories that illustrate this?
I had a friend who grew up with a very critical mother. She was always comparing her to her siblings and pointing out her flaws. As an adult, my friend is incredibly sensitive to criticism and often feels like she's not good enough. She avoids taking on leadership roles at work and never initiates social plans. It's like she's always waiting for someone else to validate her worth. It's a sad cycle, but it makes you wonder how different things could be if those early experiences were more positive.
Absolutely, and that's where cognitive distortions come into play. People with a fear of rejection often harbor negative core beliefs about their worth and likability. For example, they might think, "I'm not good enough," or "no one will like me." These distorted thoughts can be incredibly powerful and can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a popular approach to addressing these distortions by challenging and reframing negative thoughts. Have you ever tried CBT or know someone who has?
Yeah, I actually tried CBT a few years ago. It was really helpful in identifying and changing those negative thought patterns. For example, instead of thinking I'm not good enough, I learned to reframe it as rejection is part of life and it doesn't define my worth. It's not easy, but over time, it does make a difference. But what about the emotional and behavioral symptoms of the fear of rejection? How do they manifest in people's lives?
Great question. The fear of rejection can manifest in both emotional and behavioral ways. Emotionally, it can lead to anxiety, low self-esteem, and depression. Behaviorally, it might cause someone to avoid social situations, become a people pleaser, or react defensively to criticism. For instance, someone might turn down a job offer because they're afraid of not meeting expectations, or they might go out of their way to make everyone happy to avoid disapproval. These behaviors can be quite limiting and can impact one's quality of life. What are some other examples you've seen or experienced?
I've seen friends who are so afraid of rejection that they never take risks. They might not apply to their dream job or ask someone out because they're terrified of being rejected. It's like they'd rather stay in their comfort zone than face the possibility of failure. But what about treatments? We've talked a bit about CBT, but are there other approaches that can help manage the fear of rejection?
Absolutely. Traditional treatments like CBT and exposure therapy are effective, but there are also alternative approaches. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, teaches individuals to observe their thoughts and feelings without judgment, which can reduce anxiety and promote acceptance. Acceptance and commitment therapy focuses on accepting negative thoughts and committing to values-driven actions. Emotion-focused therapy, EFT, helps process and transform negative emotions, while somatic experiencing focuses on the body's role in processing trauma. These methods can be used in combination to create a comprehensive treatment plan. What do you think about these alternative approaches, Sarah?
I think these alternative approaches are really interesting. I've tried mindfulness practices before, and they've been helpful in managing anxiety. The idea of accepting negative thoughts rather than fighting them seems counterintuitive, but can be really powerful. And the body-focused approach in somatic experiencing sounds intriguing. It's like these methods help you work through the fear from different angles. But what are some practical strategies people can use to manage their fear of rejection in everyday life?
That's a great question. One effective strategy is challenging negative thoughts. Regularly questioning and reframing those thoughts can help reduce their power. For example, instead of thinking, they'll reject me because I'm not good enough, you can reframe it to, rejection is part of life and it doesn't define my worth. Another strategy is gradual exposure. Start with low-stakes social interactions to build confidence and gradually increase exposure to situations where rejection is possible. Building resilience through activities like journaling, exercise, and cultivating supportive relationships can also enhance emotional regulation. Finally, seeking support from therapy or support groups can provide a safe space to explore fears and develop coping strategies. What do you think, Sarah? Have you tried any of these strategies?
I've tried journaling and exercise, and they've definitely helped. I think building a supportive network is also crucial. Having people who understand and support you can make a huge difference. It's like having a safety net that helps you feel more secure. And it's empowering to know that there are practical steps you can take to manage and overcome the fear of rejection. It's not just a fixed part of who you are.
Exactly. The fear of rejection is a common but manageable challenge. By understanding its root causes, recognizing symptoms, and exploring both traditional and alternative treatments, individuals can develop effective strategies to navigate and overcome this fear. With self-awareness and the right support, it's possible to build healthier relationships and a more confident self-image. Thanks for joining us today, Sarah, and thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We hope you found this episode insightful and empowering. Until next time.
Thanks for having me, and thank you, everyone, for listening. If you have any questions or want to share your own experiences, feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fear of rejection. We hope you've gained valuable insights and practical tools to navigate this common challenge. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to subscribe to Cognitive Curves for more expert-driven content on personal growth and psychological insights. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments, and let's continue the journey together. Until next time, stay curious and keep growing.